Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. I'm excited to be here with you all today. I really don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to see what the spirit ushers in. So be a friend, tell a friend, and have them to jump on over and let's talk about life, love, and business. See you on the other side of a few short commercials and a beautiful prayer.
Hey, hey,
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajda Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. I hope everyone is doing well this morning, enjoying your summer. There's a lot going on. Have y'all been following this Nolan Wells case, it's really surreal. I think a lot of people try worse can happen. I have my theory of what I believe happened, and I'm gonna to some people, I'll preserve it um, for a little later. But just listening to the initial, well, no, some of the things the local coroner or medical examiner retained, it just said a lot to me. And I was looking at even the Carmelo Anthony case. Listen, y'all, we have to understand and be more honest with ourselves about the climate in which we are living in, because a lot of us like to believe that these certain things don't matter, or maybe because we went to school with certain people, or we went to the military with certain people, or we work with certain people. There's a certain level sometimes of groupthink that happens in all communities. Okay. There are always going to be people who are cool, people who are nice, people you can kick it with. And then there are going to be people who are waiting for that opportunity to do something to you. So you have to stay alert at all times and pay attention and be mindful of where you go, who you're around, what risks you're taking. And I know that some things that we think aren't risks actually are very risky. And sometimes it depends on where you live. You know, if you grew up like I did in the Midwest, where racism was just always out there, you kind of knew to be mindful and you knew to be careful. You knew not to put yourself in certain environments and certain situations. And because you grew up around those people, interacting with those people, sometimes people take one or two choices. They either just decide, oh, I just love them and everything is cool, or you realize there's a certain level of caution that you're going to have to take. And I think above all else is understanding that as the dollar falls, certain emotions and certain issues are going to crop up that maybe were not as prevalent in your life before. These are things that have always been there, but it has a lot to do with the economy. And you might be saying, well, that don't make sense. It really does, because a lot of people, as they begin to think about their future, they begin to think about their money. They start to get jealous because they're looking at people that they've been told all their lives are maybe dumb, maybe stupid, maybe we shouldn't have certain things. And then it looks like, man, looks like they're excelling. Looks like they're going to do well. Well, let's cut out this program. Let's make sure that this whole DEA thing, they don't get to do anything. DEI thing, that they don't get to do anything. Let's pretend like everything wrong in America has to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then let's further pretend so that we have an excuse to discriminate against Black people, that there are a lot of Black people that benefit from DEI programs. And you all know we've covered here on this podcast the itsy bitsy percentage of us that get government contracts, the itsy bitsy percentage of us that get promoted because of our race. It's a very small percentage. You can go look up the data. I think I mentioned to you all that I was in a chat on a podcast where people were going back and forth and they were talking about pilots and the increase in plane crashes allegedly because there are more Black pilots. And I said, tell me a pilot that got promoted who did not earn their credentials just because they're Black. And I said, I'll wait. See, here's the thing. We know the reality of the world, of America, of the cities that we live in. I think Black people are very clear that there are some people we can trust and others that we can't. They may all be within the same race. We get it. We understand sometimes what happens if you go to a party and there's drinking, and then all of a sudden you get that one person that may start race baiting or may start playing around and horse playing and go too far. We understand that. And most of us have been warned against that. But a lot of our children, our younger generation, we're moving out into suburbs, into areas because we feel more affluent. We feel like it's going to be better for us and for them. And they find themselves out there, and the discrimination is real. And people would like to say, well, but how does that bring someone to the point of unaliving somebody? You know, if you lie, you'll steal and you'll kill. It's just a natural progression. But yeah, so and I'll say more once more information comes out. I seen the little fake DA. She came out and made a few statements. It was such a phony statement that she made. Absolutely horrible. And then all these so-called friends that don't even know him that are like, oh, I'm his best friend. And here they go popping up. It's just, and you have to go back to old school. But I think we're to that point where we need to be going back to old school. Stay from around there. Leave them people alone. If you on break and you want to go have some fun, find another way than to go. And I'm not blaming, but how many of us really would have been afraid to go to this kind of all white party affair on some boats out to an island as one of a few Black people? And I'm going to preserve that because I don't want to cast any blame or shadow on the parents or poor little Nolan. And I just think it's just terrible what has happened to them. But if you feel like it ain't right, then it probably ain't right. And we have to raise our consciousness level in our community sooner than later, because we may very well be seeing an increase in this type of thing happening. All right. So welcome to the chat. Welcome, Sister Betty SC4C. She says, great morning, everyone. Welcome, the Light Bearer 459, says ASA Sister. Wa alaikum salam. Thank you. I saw somebody else in here earlier. Oh, I see you, Brother Lamont. Wa alaikum salam. He says, good morning and happy Saturday. Welcome. I see a bunch of y'all must be just over there laying on y'all sides going, I don't even feel like typing because I see you on here. I wanted to say something about business and attracting sales and things like that to yourself. We now live in a world where people are constantly accosted by sales pitches. Some people are so good they're selling and we don't even know they're selling. Every time we turn on the television, every time we turn on the computer, we turn the phone on, we click on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, there's always some attempt to sell us something. And I don't think this has ever happened in the history of sales and advertising. Yeah, there was a time where there were billboards everywhere and magazines and stuff like that, but it was situations where it wasn't quite forced on you. So now that we're living in an environment like that, for individuals who are trying to start businesses, who are trying to sell products and services that they believe are good for the community and ultimately can benefit themselves, we have to come up with a different approach. Because I don't know if we realize that people now are numb to your sales approach if it's traditional. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can relate to this. You can just tell, unless the person's really, really good. And so as entrepreneurs, we have to begin to figure out, how do we approach things differently? And there are a lot of companies, if you start paying attention, that understand this and that have started different methods of advertising. I get people all the time that text me, email me, and they say, oh, if you pay this service, I'll post your stuff, or I'll send it out there. There's a couple things with that. A lot of people just click past it because they're not paying attention. What the smart companies have begun is to do what I call experience and relationship selling. People have to be comfortable with you. And then here's the deal. The quality of customers that you get, you got to figure out how to make them comfortable with you. And I believe in serving a particular niche and letting them see you in action. See, because you should have multifaceted reasons as to why somebody should buy something from you. You really should. And if you have those multifaceted reasons as to why somebody should buy something from you, then you should be able to demonstrate that. Everything about you should say, interact with me, experience with me. Everything about, from the way you look, from the way you present yourself, from the way you conduct yourself, from the way you groom yourself. You should always be thinking about the experience that someone's going to have when they interact with you, especially if you're in the service business. And yeah, there's all this stuff out there now, you can drop ship and nobody has to see you and nobody has to know you. That's pretty rare because people are sophisticated. 10 years ago, that was a thing. But nowadays, unless people really like the product, they're not just clicking on it, because 9 times out of 10, there's a whole bunch of other people selling that product or whatever. But I want us as entrepreneurs to make sure that we are presenting ourselves in a way that every aspect of our presentation is pleasant to potential customers, potential partners, and that whatever the reasons that we believe that what we have of value is good for us and good for our people, that we're leading with that in our presence and in our presentation. So when people walk away from you, they remember the experience of you. Now, of course, this requires you to get out there, because some people love the concept of being able to just sit at home and not get out there and not do anything. And there are cases where you can do that, whether you create an online presence, whether you create a product or service that you just put some imaging around. Always think about the quality of the interaction with the product or service. And whether you're the service or whether you have a product, what is your posting like? What are your commercials like? What is the website experience like? What is the social media experience like? What are you saying online? How are you presenting yourself? How do you look? And what does your look say? Right? Because people who are like you know what they're looking at. When people try to sell me clothes, because I'm so big on fabrics and quality and styles, you can't, it's hard to sell me something that's cheap or not classy. It's very difficult. So know your customer. If you are coming over to me and you're trying to sell me an outfit, or if you're trying to impress someone that you believe has the attributes that you desire as a customer, mirroring is one of those big selling points. So don't come up to me and try to sell me clothes and you see I have on an international fabric. You don't see no white stuff. So this isn't a stamped fabric. This is actually a real woven silk fabric. It's got a couple different finishes on the silk. This one has like more of a woven finish on the sleeves. And then here on the body part, it's more of a raw silk. And there's these beautiful rhinestones that are on here. This scarf is actually a rayon and silk mix. So if you're looking at me, you can see the finishing. Okay. And that's to say that we have to know how to approach people based on who we're dealing with. And mirroring is a good way to do that. What is their experience when they walk up to you? And what do I mean? It's not just what comes out of your mouth. What does your skin look like? What do you smell like? What's your vibe like? What's the energy? What are you wearing? Are you wearing things that they can look at and go, wow, that's cool, or that's beautiful? Because they're going to have a multifaceted experience if they come and interact with me. Make sure that what you're wearing and how you present yourself is appropriate for the occasion. Don't go to church in your hot pants and your mini skirt if you know you're going to church, or if you know you're going to a funeral. Those of us that sometimes wear weaves or hair, let's make sure it's finished. Let's make sure we're starting to groom and polish ourselves. That's what we're taught as Muslims. Even if I put my hair back in a ponytail, I'm making sure that I condition my scalp and my hair. I'm, flowing it back, making sure that it's groomed, it looked good. If you're wearing natural hair doesn't mean ungroomed or unkept hair. You don't necessarily have to pick it out and have a perfect shaped 1970s afro or a fresh blowout that's perfect like the 90s. But what is the grooming? Do you look like you just laid on the couch and flattened your hair out and then got up and went outside? How are you grooming? What are we doing with our skin and our face? Did you wash your face? Did you brush your teeth? It takes me 20 minutes just by the time I finish my skin and teeth at night and in the morning. So what are we doing? These are all things that are important. If you are out here as a business person, you're trying to attract people to an experience with you. And I'm saying, you guys, that this is going to become increasingly more important as we begin to move into this space where the dollar continues to tumble. Because you're already going to get haters because you're doing a great job, or because you look great, or because of maybe you thought of an idea that somebody else didn't think of, or maybe your idea reminds people of what they're not doing. So you're already going to get haters because of that. But you also want to make sure that as things starting to tighten up in the economy, that people can think about having the interaction with you as a sales pitch and as a way to invite you onto a board or an advisory service, or, what are they looking at when they're looking at you? And I'm not saying everybody can't be fine. Everybody can't be beautiful. Everybody's not going to be appealing to everyone's eye. But how do you present? That's the question. If you're selling food, I don't care if you're an Uber driver and you're picking up food. The best Uber drivers and Uber Eats people are the people that look like they got their stuff together. I remember one time I ordered some food at a hotel and the people came up, and God bless them, but everything about them was broke down. When they opened the door, the car looked dirty. They was grimy. They got out, and I complained to Uber and didn't eat the food. I've had situations where I've gotten into an Uber, even if I chose a premium ride or a black car, and it didn't smell right, or it was a little dirty or dusty up in there. I got something to say about that, because I'm serious about my money psychology, because my good money is going to follow good service and good stuff. So we have to start thinking about these things, especially as times get tight, because people will not just be throwing money at you. People be looking for any excuse to get their money back. And they're not going to be just throwing money at you just because you're there or you're providing a service. So I want us to think about these things and start to polish ourselves up. If you're going to speak somewhere, you're going before a group, try to prepare. If you can't prepare because you're one of these persons like I am, where oftentimes you find yourself having to present, have your elevator pitch together. Have how you present yourself together so that you got your words together. You've already chosen how you explain something. You've already practiced it. That's going to prevent you from rambling. It's also going to help you have your explanation and your presentation as second nature so that you can read and connect with your audience. You all know I've been talking about this for a long time, but your professional intuition is going to become more and more important as the economy starts to tighten. You're going to need that professional intuition that kind of guides you on if this is the right situation. Where do I go? Who should I be careful with? And you got to start working and building that God within right now, so that when you find yourself in a situation, you get those messages. It will tell you. Start listening to your body. What does your solar plexus feel like when you're sitting there going over some information or you're around somebody? Are you getting the chills? Is there some tingling? Start to dig into, what does that mean? Doesn't always mean that you're right. And also, let me say this last thing before I go. Understand that 2, 3, 4, 5 things can be true at once. So if you're ever around me and I'm analyzing something, unless I've uncovered a whole bunch of facts that have allowed me to critically think and come to a conclusion, you rarely see me just go down one road. There's a technique that I learned as an emotional intelligence coach during my training, is where you get an emotion and then you write down 5 to 6 different things that emotion can mean. And then you learn this process of analyzing how to review the data so that you start to rule out certain things and then narrow down to what the possibility is. And then once you get your possibilities laid out, now you start analyzing the fact, or you got to be okay with waiting. You got to be okay with waiting. I said that was the last thing, but this is the last thing. Sometimes some of us are better at intuiting situations and analyzing situations, critically thinking, deductive reasoning than others. And if you know that, try to make sure that you're waiting so that you gather as much complete information as possible. So these are just some tips for us as entrepreneurs, because things are going to get tighter. We're going to be going, okay, I got to work. I got to make money. I got to make this happen. And we want to be able to know how to move around, how to shorten the time and the distance between us and what it is that we want. And if pop culture or social media is telling you to turn that way, you may not want to run that way quickly. Stop for a minute and pay attention. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this on Monday during Sajdah's Monday morning motivation and meditation. And what we've been doing on Monday is just picking a topic and things that we're working on, and meditating on it, motivating ourselves on it. I believe that this is super powerful and something that we should all be doing and something we should all be working on. I'm working on a new series. So we got a new series coming up. I've been playing some replays of some of the old series. We did the Proper Handling of People series. I may replay. You all remember the Manifestation series we did? It was a 15-part series. That's like a whole season on Netflix. But we went through a whole bunch of manifestation techniques. And that was really powerful. That was one of our most popular series. And so we may do some reruns and show those again next week. We've got lots of great evergreen material here on this channel. So whether you catch us live or you go back and just like and subscribe so you get a notification, you hit the notification bell when we're going to be live, or you listen to us, live and in real person, you can go back, and we got tons of information out here that date back now to like 2005. So there's a lot of data. I've been putting a lot of downloads out here for a lot of years. There's some other platforms where we have stuff that's still there, like on Spotify. You can, there's things there. But there's a lot of places. But the best place is the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. And just go on there and peruse around. There's been all kinds of stuff on how to think, ways to think, problem solving, prayer, meditation, dealing with trauma, the art and science of business. You all, if you don't have my new book, go and grab it. Just go to, that's it right there right here in the corner, the art and science of book, the art and science of business. And in that book, I'm trying to show us different aspects of separation, physical and otherwise, different ways and techniques and process and how to write policies and procedures and infuse certain things in them so they become evergreen. There's a couple tricks that I don't always say publicly. So if you bring me to speak or you want me to coach you, that's available. Just go to booksajdahwendymuhammad.com. But my life is dedicated to sharing with you what I've learned through my very blessed career as a business person. Some of those things I do for free, like here on the show, which is why we ask you to support and donate. We put the Cash App going across the bottom. Some of them you will have to pay for if you want coaching. My goal is to help you solve a problem, to liberate you from the things that you're blinded by, liberate you from um, cogs in the wheel and clogs in your pipes and ways in which you're not flowing. I love connecting people. I love hooking people up. I love to hook you up with money, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life to whatever extent that I can do to open you up to that. I've dedicated my life. And of course, with the historic preservation, that's a whole nother world that I have been working and developing that business model that we are now beginning to launch, like the Art and Civilization series. And I'm not even going to say it all because every time I say something, somebody goes and copies it and does it and comes back to me and try to convince me that it was their idea. And I just look at them like, okay. But in that space with Sajdah House, there's so much that we're working on here. So stay close, stay tuned. This is for if you want to be a builder, a thought leader, a global thought leader, somebody that is helping to move our community to that next level, then this is the channel for you. And I am the advisor for you. So with that, we will see you all Monday on Sajdah's Monday morning meditation. And just know, more than likely, anything you've thought of when it comes to business, coaching, art and civilization, we're doing some stuff to work on it. And I think that you're going to be pleasantly pleased with some of the things that we are going to be offering starting the rest of this summer and inshallah moving forward. Okay, so if you love what we're doing, you love Sajdah Enterprises over here, you see the Cash App, we need your support. There's not a lot of free money out here nowadays, so we have to, I'm saying governments, grants and all that. There's a lot of competition. It's also a strategy and a business model that is very difficult to support if you believe in telling the truth, if you're trying to help people, if you want to liberate people, prevent people from getting caught up in traps, and to tell history and stories that have been buried about people who have been unpersoned, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Sometimes people are saying, oh, no, you're not getting none of this free grant money. So, but there's money out there in our community. We spend trillions of dollars every year. And so we can afford to begin to support one another in a more robust way. And we ask that you continue with your support. And Cash App, we got Oud Oils. This is a whole enterprises over here. All right, family. I'm going to let you all go. We are in the middle of our Nation of Islam training conference. So I'm going to get off here and get ready for that. I'm very, very excited about it. It's always a great time. Very fab. I think what's most important about the training conference, it's kind of like Savior's Day, than anything else is the energy. And so there's not another place where you can exchange your time and presence for an energy more powerful than what we're experiencing this weekend at the National Training Conference. So if your option is to just stay at home and chill and do nothing, trust me, you're going to go, you can accelerate whatever it is you're doing and whatever it is that you're working on by placing yourself. Now, this is a metaphysical thing, placing yourself in an environment where people are training and learning and submerging yourself in it for a certain period of time. You remember that your thoughts are going to travel at 24 billion miles per second. So with all those thoughts that you're thinking in that environment, if you are there to absorb, the environment is pregnant and fertile and productive. And those are the types of environments that we have to make sure that we learn to give ourselves access to. And I'll talk more about that on Monday. Okay, family, may Allah bless you with more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. I want you to remember that it is not personal. It is vibrational. It is always vibrational. What conversations are you having with yourself? What thoughts are in your head that is creating an environment and the circumstances that you find yourself walking into? And depending on how long you've been thinking that way, depending on the environment that you're in, it makes a total difference. Okay. So may Allah bless you with more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. Thank you.